What's up, guys? Welcome to the podcast. So today I got Jessie, which is a senior water technician at Colair. And I kind of want to just guide you real quick, Jesse, just to kind of give you the groundwork because I know they kind of threw you in here, man. So
Appreciate that.
I appreciate your time. But the reason why I really started diving into the water situation is because March 27th happened, and that's when we got all the flooding here in the Rio Grande Valley. And I was in Houston at my daughter's dance recital, and I
Wow.
was doing absolutely nothing. I was just kicking my feet there. I was like, imagine a dad at a dance thing, and I was literally just bored out of my mind. I don't know if I have ADHD or something. I don't know, whatever it is, but I always have to be doing something. And I hadn't made a documentary in years. And I started seeing everything that was going on, and I started writing a fictional story about the next Hurricane Beulah that would come in and just completely disseminate the Rio Grande Valley. And if that were to happen, I was pushing out that 100,000 people would perish if a next Hurricane Beulah would come. And comes to light that we are overdue for another Hurricane Beulah. So if you think about Hurricane Beulah, 1967, 150 tornadoes ravaged the Rio Grande Valley, and water was literally flooding everywhere. So from what I understand from experts is that we're overdue for a next Hurricane Beulah. It floods very often across the whole Rio Grande Valley. And that got me starting to dive into like the next documentary. What do I want to write about? What do I want to film? And I started researching the Arroyo Colorado and the Rio Grande River. And
Yeah.
I found that after flooding is when the real stuff happens because after the flooding, these Arroyo Colorado and the Rio Grande Valley River, they overflow. And inside the arroyo, there's contaminants and toxins and all this stuff that flows into 82,000 homes and over 300 facilities in the Rio Grande Valley. So that's what I decided to make my next documentary on because it started getting me like thinking about why are there so many sick people in the Rio Grande Valley? And I started putting these patterns together and started putting everything together. I started going down that wormhole and I was like, man, it's not only the Arroyo, it's not only the Rio Grande River, but it's literally the tap water. And I kept going more into it and I was like, I kept finding stuff and I to this day, I still continue to find more things and I'm just like I just don't know why it's not being talked about a little bit more. So that's kind of why I wanted to bring you on because you work for a company that's been around for 40 years. You're a trusted brand in the Rio Grande Valley. I know you have amazing customer service, and people are asking me, "Well, are you doing this to sell water filtration systems?" Like, no. Like the point here is that we need clean water for one.
Yes.
And the problem here is that people are asking for solutions, and I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a water tech. I'm not any of a chemical engineer. I'm not any of that stuff. I'm just a guy who stumbled upon this information, and now I'm reaching out to the community that can actually help. So, can you kind of just introduce yourself and a little bit about what you do?
Okay. My name is Jesse Rivera. I've been with Colair a number of years. I love what I do. Um, I love working for Colair. It's a great family business. You walk in the door and everybody's high-fiving each other. I'm a senior water technician. I'm an advisor, supervisor. I also do AC, but water is my expertise. I've been doing it for professionally for 6 years, but I've been studying about 8 to 10 years. I started studying it when I moved down here because I'm actually from the Valley, but I moved to Chicago back in the late 80s and I came back in 2010. My parents retired, so I came back down here to take care of them. And me and my wife noticed the difference in the water right away. I live in San Benito, which is a tough area for water.
Yeah.
So I live right across the street from the water treatment plant. I mean, you can see it right across the street, and I live in the country.
Well,
So, and I noticed the taste, the smell, the feel different. So I started studying on my own. Again, before I started doing this professionally, and I noticed that it would give my kids allergies when they got out of the shower. They're sneezing and coughing, watery eyes, or we started having skin breakouts, irritations, rashes. And little by little, we started, feeling it. And, you know, and I noticed that it not only affected, our allergies and skins, but it can affect your digestive system, which myself, I've been diagnosed with Crohn's disease. My wife was diagnosed with thyroid disease, and that the water does affect those. So then I started doing it professionally, and I started doing some more research and I got several certifications with a water filtration company that I was doing business with. And I mean, as much as I've studied, I still feel like I don't know much because there's water. I mean, as you're learning, it's a deep dive, no pun intended, into the water because there's so much contaminants in our water, especially here in the Rio Grande Valley.
Yeah, it's interesting because I didn't realize this obviously, but we're from the Rio Grande Valley. We're at the bottom of the whole United States, so everything travels down, 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 and then it goes out to the Laguna Madre out there. So it's
Yes.
a very interesting thing because I never think about those things. It's like it's not. I think a lot of people think that you don't drink the tap water. It's common knowledge. Well, it's not because I was at a flood meeting the other day. And until a few months ago, I didn't even know there was arsenic in water. And somebody from I can only assume that was from the water committee or something. He kind of got up and scoffed at me and said, "Well, everybody knows there's arsenic in water." I was like, "No, dude, they don't." Like, if I didn't know, and I'm pretty plugged into a lot of things, I didn't know these things because I assume that if the waters that's coming out of my tap water or that I'm bathing with or that I'm cooking with, I assume it's clean because the city said it's clean and
Yeah.
this is what it is, right? But that's not the case because even now, people are commenting on my post saying that they still drink the tap water and that they didn't know. So it's not common knowledge. Can you kind of touch on that?
Yeah, it's not common knowledge. I've gone to so many homes, and we're in the valley, and there's a lot of traditional values here, which is beautiful. That's what makes the valley so awesome. I mean, I hear people tell me, "Well, I still drink water from the manguera. I grew up drinking it from, or drink well water."
Yeah,
So, I mean, I go to several websites and I do some research. One of them is ewg.org, and it'll tell you on there, legal does not mean safe.
right.
So a lot of people, I mean, you trust the government. You're getting the water from the government. So you're assuming that the water is safe. That is not the case, right? So the water is going from the Rio Grande River, the Falcon Dam Lake, going into our water treatment plants. And all they're doing is treating and adding solutions to disinfect the water. They're not filtering the water. So
Mhm.
from there, they're just trying to make it as safe as possible where no bacteria as well. I mean, if we consume that some of those bacteria, like E. coli or salmonella, we can get ill or even, die. So they have to disinfect the water and make it safe enough for it to go into our homes. And they have to pass EPA guidelines. Sometimes some of those don't get passed. But yeah, the water can be dangerous at times. And so that's why sometimes we have boil effects.
Yeah.
A lot of people tell me, hey, what about boiling the water? Isn't that make it safer? Boiling the water only kills the bacteria or living organisms. But when you add heat to certain elements or toxins, it actually makes them more dangerous.
Sheesh. Yeah, I see I didn't even know. It's like that's more stuff that people just assume that everybody knows, which is a false statement from the people that are claiming it because it just doesn't it's not common knowledge. And I think one of the problems I have right now is the consumer confidence reports. Like we get these, like for example, right here, we got this consumer confidence reports, and it's from last year. It's from 12 to 16 months
Yep.
behind. So that means that if we found a coli or any of these nasty chemicals, we're not going to find out till summer this year or summer till next year. And that's a huge problem because, like, for example, San Juan, and I just stumbled upon Brownsville's water reports that they found a coli. And
Oh yeah.
San Juan, they were in violation for 6 months.
Yep.
So, I mean, what's going on there is like you're getting these water reports a year later, and then at that point, it's like there's very low transparency. People are finding out that their water was contaminated a year later, and they probably got sick. They probably issued a boil notice, but I mean, who really pays attention to those?
That's true.
So it's a very daunting thing that I see, and people keep asking me like, well, how do you fix this? And how do you what's the solution to this? And I don't know how to answer that question.
Okay.
So let me ask you, how do we fix the immediate problem like today? If our water had a coli today and we didn't even know, and next year we get a report saying in July 22nd we had a coli in our water, what is the solution that we can do something today?
Okay. Well, it depends on what level. I mean, if you're talking about the government level, I mean that's more political. Try to not to get too much into that. I dabbled that in the past and it got me in trouble. So, but obviously we need more funding to be able to help those water treatment plants stay afloat and alive. Because I mean, I don't know if people have ever noticed if you go down up and down the valley, you'll see water treatment plants that have been abandoned and closed down, and that sometimes has to do with the EPA. So at the only way for a customer to protect himself directly, I would say, is get clean water. How do you do that? And then, of course, what kind? So I'm going to go over a list of the best drinking water sources or the best water to drink on Earth. And I'm going to go by factual data, and I'm going to tell you what you can do at your home. So the number one, the best water on Earth, the healthiest water on Earth is actually spring water at its source. Anything bottled, and I'm going to start here because I don't want people to think I'm trying to sway them into a sales. Anything bottled obviously is dangerous because of the BPA's in the plastic. Plastic is very dangerous for you, cancerous. Okay, proven fact that the human body cannot digest plastic, so can create issues. So spring water at its source is the healthiest water on Earth. But we don't have spring water here because we're so down south, right? We don't have that. Number two, alkaline water at its source. Okay. So if you buy a system and you install it at your home, you can have alkaline water, which is, it'll go through 4 stages of filtration. It'll go basically create it as a reverse osmosis, then turn into alkaline. So you'll have a sediment filter, which takes out all the minerals, the metal, I should say, the hardness. Then you have the carbon filter, which it takes out all the chemicals, which usually is carbon, coconut carbon. And then you have the RO filter, the membrane, which squeezes everything else out. And at that point, you have reverse osmosis water, which I don't like and I don't recommend personally. And then you have the last filter, which is the pH filter, which stands for percent of hydrogen. So, and it converts the water into alkaline. And then from there, it becomes very healthy water. Alkaline water is one of the healthiest waters you can drink. The human body has two states, alkaline and acidic. Proven fact, if your body's at an alkaline state, you can't get sick. So I highly recommend alkaline water. I've had my alkaline system going on 6 years. I bought it for my wife and myself, and of course my kids now love it. So I highly recommend that at your home because you get it directly. Because again, once you bottle it, it's not good or healthy because of simple fact. I mean, you can buy alkaline water off the shelf. They're pretty pricey, but that's your preference. Uh, See, if you do buy it at the store, check the date because if it's bottled recently, you're okay. But alkaline water has it can the alkaline properties can diminish after 24 hours, 48 hours, and even up to 2 weeks. After that, it's just basically filtered water.
Interesting.
So yeah. So then you got mineral water that's healthy for you. Then you got reverse osmosis water as well, and then basic filtration, like a carbon filtration, ionized water, right? There's different types, but the healthiest waters to drink, spring water at its source, then alkaline water. This is not my opinion. This is facts. And then mineral water. But once bottled, no good.
Yeah, I think that's another issue that's going on here is the PFAS. That's a huge problem nowadays. I didn't learn about any of this stuff until recently, right? And then I started diving deeper into it. And I was like, man, seems like everything's trying to kill us around here, man. So the PFAS is a problem too because these don't show up in water reports. Legally, the cities or these entities don't have to report it because they legally don't have to, which is a huge problem because, like in the city of McAllen, just south of the airport, they found firefighter foam that had leaked into the oil and it had high levels of PFAS, which are known to cause cancer. These are huge things that cause cancer and carcinogens. So it's a huge problem, and they found it, I think, through 11 of the 12 samples that they took out of the arroyo. So the problem here arises when these PFAS are showing up in the water systems, in the drinking water systems, and they don't have to report it. Like that's a huge problem because, like you said, like these things they get absorbed into the body, and it's a very troublesome chemical.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and I mean, I'll break that down. So, what you're talking about, PFAS, man-made chemicals, man-made byproducts that cannot break down on their own, right? And then where do they go? I mean, most everything usually ends up in the water, and all of that can cause a certain, I mean, any type of damage to the human body. And we always think of cancer, but you can have other functions where you have bone loss, memory loss, hair loss. I mean, there's so many things. You just got to go into it, do your own research, and then I challenge folks to do that. But yeah, man-made chemicals very dangerous, especially for the water and absorption, right? Because the largest organ in the human body is the
Skin.
skin.
Yeah.
And when we take
Yeah.
a shower,
Yeah, I didn't realize that either because you think about like the water that when somebody takes a shower or a steamy hot shower, like you're breathing in the steam in there. So I learned this from the scientist Jim White that I had a conversation with is that the bioaccumulation that happens from the water that we've been drinking for years, from the manguera, all these things that we've been susceptible to here in the Rio Grande Valley is like you might not get cancer from this one thing or an illness from this one glass here, but the bioaccumulation that happens since you were born all the way till you get older is that those things are just building up in your body over and over and over again. And the way he explained it to me was that one day when you get too old or your body gets too weak and fragile, that chemical gets released into your body that can become this illness or this cancer or something like that. So I think the conversation that we're having is much needed because just like I said, it's not common knowledge. Like a lot of people don't understand it. They think like, yeah, I'll go fishing in the arroyo. I've been fishing there for years, and this is the argument that I was asking Jim White is like my grandpa fished the arroyo and he's 95. Like he's good. And he's like, yeah, he's fine. He's made it. He's made it, but he's had health issues, but everyone else, they're playing Russian roulette. So it's just that continuous consumption of being around the environment is what happens, and it builds up over time, over time.
correct.
Another thing I wanted to touch on was the actual disinfectant products that the cities use. I think like I said, I didn't know anything about this either. So I started researching these TTHMs and this HAA5, which are disinfectants that they use to clean the city water. Can you kind of touch on that?
Yeah, I think that you're talking about tetrachloromethane and trichloromethane. So basically, we need to clean the water and kill the contaminants. And they have to use some really high potent chemicals in there to kill these contaminants. If not, I mean, they'd go in our water supply, and it'd be very dangerous for us. So, but these chemicals, I mean, they use chlorine, they use ammonia. I'll touch on those, and becomes a chloramine. Chloramine is very, very dangerous. When I mean, if you had a bottle of bleach and a bottle of ammonia and you mix them together, very toxic. That's basically going into your water supply.
Yeah, it's kind of nasty. And the thing is too is that when it mixes with the like the wastewater, which is like the E. coli, that's a huge problem. Can you touch on that too?
Okay, so when you basically, I mean, if we had a list, I mean, I can go on and on. If we had a list of everything, and you're basically brewing a whole stew of contaminants and toxins, and it just becomes more dangerous, and you're just adding toxin after toxin and toxin, and you're just making this pot, and basically it's like making a bomb pretty much, right? But the water becomes so dangerous that your body's gonna react somehow. And people say, "Oh, I don't know how I got these allergies. I was fine when I was younger." Well, your body's reacting to the water, whether it's losing your hair or breakouts or rashes or I mean, even tooth loss or bone loss or what, dementia. There's so many things that credit to the water. I mean, I can go on and on and on, but yes, I challenge folks to do more research. We could probably talk about this for hours,
Yeah.
but yes, when combined with other chemicals or products, it just becomes more volatile.
Yeah, I think one of the important things here too is because a lot of people they my a lot of my posts have gone viral and I've reached the entirety of the Rio Grande Valley on Facebook and on Instagram probably 4 times over now because this is such interesting topic that people I think they had suspicions about and they knew they just never had the data or had the data broken down in a way that they can understand it, which is the way I'm presenting it because that's the way I learn, right? I can go now with the artificial intelligence. I can look through 56 pages of data. I can look through 26 pages of reports and Texas A&M reports. Like for example, Texas A&M found high levels of arsenic in 100% of the samples that they sampled in Alamo and Progreso. They found it in the toenail clippings, in the hair, in the blood. And the answer to that was they gave them Brita water filtration systems, right? Or the Brita water thing, right? They gave it to them. But the problem with that is that Brita filter system is it filters the water, but it doesn't filter out the heavy metals, the PFAS, any of the nasty stuff. So it's literally a band-aid that they're putting on the situation.
Yes.
And the thing is too is like it becomes an educational and informational thing because once those filters are no good, what's the next step? They got to go buy another system or they got to buy another thing. So it's going to be it's a simple band-aid that's there, but I think it doesn't really go to the hearts of the problem. Can you touch on that?
Sure. And I'll go over for coverage for a home. I mean, we talk about drinking water, which is probably the most important because the human body is, made up of, over 80% water. So without water, we can't live. But in regards to answering your question, yes, total home protection, I would suggest a carbon-based filter is not strong enough. I've been using this expression for years. It sounds scary, but it's like putting a band-aid on a shotgun wound. And then you're talking about the size. So a Brita, even a refrigerator filter has a small carbon filter. Carbon only takes out certain chemicals. It doesn't take out everything. And then the size of it. I mean, and that's why, I mean, you can use a Brita and use it for 30 days. It becomes clogged and it's full. And then from there, you got to change it out. So what do you do? If you don't know where to go. I mean, Brita, I mean, is a good filter maybe for other areas or even a fridge filter, but not down here. Down here, you need total protection. So I've been using a carbon filter tank for my home and a water softener, which is resin to take out the heavy metals and the metals, and then also have a debacterializer. So it's one of the things that we carry here at Kohler. I've been using it personally for years, and it does help. It's not as strong as a drinking system. To have a whole home alkaline system would be pretty costly, but you can at least protect yourself for the most part by taking out all the chemicals, the minerals, and then some bacterias. Uh, and that provides a lot of protection for you because just the chemicals and minerals alone will take care of a lot of the stuff and of course the bacteria stabilizers killers that these machines contain. And they're pretty nice, a good feel. You can cook with it, brush your teeth, feel more comfortable taking a shower. Women usually feel it with their hair and their skin right away. As guys usually are more numb to it, but you do notice a difference.
Yeah, I think one of the important things you touch on is like cooking with it, and you thinking about like there's 150,000 people that live in colonias alone in Hidalgo County. So
Okay.
now we're touching on a different aspect of it, but also you think about like the Donna Lake. We the Rio Grande Valley is home to three Superfund sites. So a lot of people don't realize what that is. Is these sites are highly contaminated. They're so contaminated that they had to label them Superfund sites. So, for example, in the Donna Lake, there's still people that fish out there to this day, and a
Mhm.
lot of those people will take that fish and they'll sell it to local restaurants or they'll consume it. So that just you think about that, it's like even that one instance where this fish gets sold to a restaurant or a restaurant doesn't have a filtration system and they're cooking their sopitas or soups, they're boiling their pasta, they're cooking with this water. These chemicals are still in there. So it's just an interesting thing because man, I love food. I love going out to eat restaurants and stuff like that. But now whenever I'm around people, they order water. It's like, hey, I'm not gonna judge you, man. So do what you want. It's just one of those things I think a lot of people just need to be aware of because, like I said earlier, is like a lot of people think that it's common knowledge. I'm not gonna drink the water, but it's really not. So. What I want to touch on is the process. Like, what does the process look like when Colair comes out to the house? Like, hey, I'm gonna call Colair today. What does that process look like?
Sure. Say hey, you want Jesse to come out to your home and test your water. So we go out there and we do an educational piece. And we test for water hardness, contamination levels, and then I'll even filter the water right in front of them. And then I'll show them what's in the water. And it gets to be, it's like a science show. And sometimes the family will surround the table because at first it sounds boring, and then they start watching the test, and they're like, "Whoa, hey, can you test this water? Can you test this water?" Because people will bring me bottled water or their fridge water or some smart water they have, and I'll test the different types of water. And I do it, I like to test the bottled water or filtered water at first, and then I'll test their tap water, and then they'll see the difference. So I'm glad, you touched up on that. But yes, I have a hardness test kit here, and basically, um, I'll add an activator, a reagent, basically, that'll react with the hardness. And if it turns pink, that means you have hard water. And then I'll add this neutralizer, which is like a stabilizer. And the more drops I add, tells me how hard their water is. Here in the valley, you're probably looking at between 20 to 30 grains of hardness. Anywhere from 0 to 3 is soft.
Hmm.
Anywhere from 3 to 7, you're okay. But hard, I mean, anywhere in the valley, I'll be honest, I don't think I've seen anything under 10,
Wow.
uh, in a while. And you hit the nail right in the head. Every major storm that actually changes the valley. When I first moved here, the average was 18. Now it's up to like the average is around 24 to 26.
Wow.
So I didn't know why. And then I ran into a college professor out of UTRGV, and he told me every storm affects the hardness. I'm like, why? He's like, the sodium content increases. And I'm like, because of the storms. So
Yeah.
I didn't understand. And then now, and I'm just, wow, mind blowing. So that'll affect the hardness.
Yeah.
Um,
What's also interesting too is like now we're having these water issues where like the Amistad is really low and we're like in a drought. So the water systems, these rivers, they're very low. And what a lot of people don't understand is that when these river systems get low, the arsenic concentrates even more. So going back to when that guy scoffed at me, he's like, everybody knows they have arsenic in the water. It's like that made me go down a rabbit hole and figure out like what's going on here. I think Channel 5 just did a water report, a really good water report. It was like 30 minutes long.
okay.
And they talked about these levels that are so low, but they didn't talk about like the levels of arsenic that get concentrated. So I think that's just another important topic that people really need to understand is that here in the Rio Grande Valley, like where we get our water from, these levels are starting to decrease significantly. And also, you think about too, like this 1944 treaty that from Mexico, they owe us 1.7 million acre water acres or something. I forget exactly how they label it, but this water that's already been, I think, 700,000 acres has already been repaid. They're coming from six different highly polluted water sources in Mexico. So technically, yes, once they get here, they're supposed to be treated properly. But as you see, in the Arroyo Colorado, there's 2 million gallons that are thrown in there every single day that are untreated. And Harlingen, directly from the March 27 floods, they dumped 633,000 gallons of partially treated water into that Arroyo water system too. So. you think about like, yes, that these are supposed to be treated, they're supposed to be good for us, but in most cases, it's not. And when it does flood, those things overflow. They go into the houses, they go into the schools, the businesses, and I say this is why there's a lot of sick people here in the Rio Grande Valley. Like you think about, we have 55% higher rates of cervical cancer here in the Rio Grande Valley. We have higher rates of asthma in children. There's higher leukemia rates. There's these rare sicknesses or rare cancers that happen in the Rio Grande Valley that rarely happen anywhere else in the United States. And the Rio Grande Valley is just a highly contaminated and polluted place that you see out there. It's beautiful, it's green, but I mean, arsenic loves these plants. That's why it's so green. You think about like golf courses. I was told the other day that the reason why golf courses, the greens are so green is because they use an arsenic-based water to put over the water. So you think about like these things that are here that we don't even know, we don't have common knowledge about.
Yeah.
So I think these conversations are really important because I talked to Charlene Torres, which works for the Navajo Nation. She's a chemical engineer that works for the Army, and she's figuring out how to help with their air pollution. So I'm supposed to have her on the podcast as well, and she's about to talk about solutions on how to fix the Arroyo Colorado, the McAllen groundwater plume, the Rio Grande River. But these solutions, they're 10 to 20 years out. Like
Mhm.
it's gonna take a long time to fix these solutions. So people keep asking me, like, what can I do now? So the best way I can guide them to is people like you that are helping out the community with these water filtration systems. And I know a lot of them are very pricey. Some of them are pricey. Some of them are might be out of the price range for certain people. But can you touch on like the price ranges or the different systems that you have that Kohler offers?
Well, we offer two systems, which is the alkaline system for drinking, which we put under the sink. And we also offer the whole home system, which I call more like a water purifier. I mean, it's a water treatment system, but it does, cover takes out the chemicals, takes out the hardness, and of course, it has a bacteria deterrent in there as well. But those are the two products that we offer. If you're looking for the whole home protection, you're looking about $7,500 for the just the whole home, and for the drinking system, you're looking about 3,600. But if you want to package them together, we can get them to you for around 9,900 together, and we can get it installed for you. Sorry about that. Um, and yes, but that's what you're looking at for the protection, and that's all in turnkey pricing. Um, and you can get it installed the next day.
Or do y'all offer payment solutions, or is it just like, can you kind of touch on it?
We have a wide array of financing. From Synchrony Bank, Service Finance. I mean, we can get payments under $100 a month. Great rates. We even have 0% for 25 months. We can do 5-year financing, 10-year financing. It just depends on what you're looking for. But we have finance banks that work with everybody's types of credit. Everybody has different types of credit. And so we have banks that will work with you and help you, and at the same time, we can kind of help with the educational piece in regards to financing as well.
Awesome. Great, Jesse. I appreciate your time, man. Just so everybody knows, if you're interested in calling Colair, call them at 956-507-2482 or head to joshuamoroles.com/clean water. Jesse, do you want to say anything else or lead us out?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, look, protect yourselves. If you can't afford something, try to get some type of filtration where you can get it directly at its source. There's different water sources throughout the valley. And try to get some clean water, at least to drink, at the same time to cook with. If you can, I would suggest cooking with drinking water. That's the best. But if you have some type of protection already, make sure you maintain it. And if you have questions, by all means, call us. I mean, there's nothing wrong with asking questions. Give us a call. Give us a call here at Kohler, and we'll gladly take care of you. We're here for the family. We're here for the community.
Awesome. Jesse, I appreciate your time. Have a
Take
great
care.
day.
God bless everybody.
See you
Bye-bye.
soon.